She dreamed of becoming an actress, but Hollywood remembered her not for her roles, but for the most terrible murder in the history of Los Angeles. Her body was found cut in half. Her face was disfigured beyond recognition, and for almost 80 years, no one knows who killed Black Dahlia. January 1947, Los Angeles, the city of cinema, neon, and eternal promises. Thousands of young girls came here with one dream: to become actresses, to get on the screen, to become famous. But for one of them, Hollywood had prepared a completely different fate. Her name was Elizabeth Short. Today, she is known by the name that has become a symbol of horror: Black Dahlia. Elizabeth was born far from here in Boston in 1924. Her family was poor. Her father left when she was only 6 years old, and her mother raised 5 children alone. Young Elizabeth grew up as a dreamy, romantic, and very beautiful girl. She had dark hair, porcelain skin, and bright red lipstick, her calling card. When Elizabeth grew up, she, like many girls of those years, decided to go to California. She was a little over 20 when she found herself in Los Angeles. The city greeted her with the lights of movie theaters, advertisements for new films, and endless promises of fame. She worked part-time as a waitress, sometimes as a model. But most of all, Elizabeth wanted to act in films. Friends remembered her as an open and slightly naive girl who loved attention and knew how to make an impression. She always carefully put on makeup, wore fashionable dresses, and tried to seem like a star, even if she barely had enough money to live on. It was then that the nickname Black Dahlia stuck to her. They began to call her this way for her love of black clothes and because of her bright lipstick. Also because the popular film Blue Dahlia was just showing in cinemas. People joked, "Here is her dark version." This nickname quickly became her image, a mysterious, spectacular girl from Hollywood. But no one suspected that very soon the name Black Dahlia would become known not because of films, but because of the worst tragedy in the history of the city. And this tragedy would change Los Angeles forever. January 15th, 1947, was a cold, foggy morning in Los Angeles. A woman was walking through a vacant lot in the Lakeview area, carrying a small child. She noticed something strange on the ground. At first she thought it was an old mannequin or an abandoned doll, but the closer she got, the more clearly she realized the terrible truth. In front of her lay the body of a young woman, cut into 2 pieces, neatly and meticulously. Not a drop of blood around, as if someone had washed the crime scene. The police arrived quickly, but even at this stage it was clear that this was no ordinary murder. The body was lying as if the killer wanted to be found. The face was disfigured. The mouth was cut from ear to ear, creating a creepy smile, and the eyes were wide open, as if she was frozen in final horror. The police were shocked. No detective of that time had seen anything like it. The crime scene was immediately surrounded by yellow tape, and news of the murder spread throughout the city. Almost simultaneously, newspapers gave the girl a name that would go down in history: Black Dahlia. This headline immediately riveted the attention of millions of readers. Investigators began questioning neighbors, local residents, anyone who could have seen something. But almost no one was in the vacant lot. CCTV cameras did not yet exist. The streets were deserted, and there was essentially only one piece of evidence: the girl's body. Detectives immediately realized that the killer had most likely moved the body from another place, carefully preparing it. With each passing hour, more journalists appeared at the crime scene. Newspapers printed photos and descriptions of details. Girl's body cut in half, face disfigured, found in vacant lot, screamed the headlines. People in the city whispered, disgust. Who could have committed such a horror? Why her? What did this smile of death mean? Even the police admitted that they had never encountered such a crime before. It was a murder carefully planned, but at the same time mysterious, full of symbolism. And from that morning, Hollywood learned about Black Dahlia, a girl whose dream of glory was brutally interrupted, and whose death became a legend. The news of Elizabeth Short's body being found spread like wildfire throughout Los Angeles. The newspapers were screaming with headlines from the morning: "Grim Murder in Los Angeles" and "Black Dahlia, body found cut in half." The city froze in anxious anticipation, and the police found themselves in the epicenter of a real media storm. Detectives worked tirelessly. They carefully examined the crime scene, photographed every inch of the vacant lot, collected the smallest clues, scraps of fabric, shoe prints, fingerprints. But the clue pointing to the killer seemed elusive. The body had been moved from another place, carefully cleaned, as if someone wanted to erase all traces. The press, of course, was quick to react. Journalists literally burst into the police station, asked uncomfortable questions, photographed detectives and even Elizabeth's mother. The usual rules of journalistic ethics retreated in the face of a sensation. Newspapers printed photographs of the girl and detailed descriptions of her life, and the name Black Dahlia instantly became a household word. In the first days of the investigation, the police interviewed hundreds of people: neighbors, random witnesses, Elizabeth's colleagues. Every little hint could be key. At the same time, rumors began to appear about possible suspects. Among them were doctors who worked in hospitals where surgical techniques could have been used, as well as people who had access to closed areas of the city. But one of the loudest versions was George Hodel, a man with a dubious reputation and ties to the criminal world. Later, his own son wrote a book claiming that his father was the killer. But there was not enough evidence at the time. Every day, the police faced pressure and expectations from society. Every little thing, a letter, a phone call, a new piece of evidence could become a breakthrough. But in the first weeks of the investigation, the city already understood. This would not be just a case. This would become a story that would go down in the annals of Los Angeles and Hollywood. A story full of mysteries, cruelty, and unsolved secrets. The investigation lasted for months, then years. Investigators interviewed hundreds of suspects, checked thousands of streets, analyzed every detail, every thread of fabric, every photograph. But Black Dahlia's killer was never found. Among the most prominent suspects was George Hodel, a man with a dubious reputation and connections in the Los Angeles criminal world. His own son claimed that his father had killed Elizabeth, but there was insufficient evidence. There were other versions: doctors, Hollywood producers, even serial killers of the time. No one was convicted. The murder of Black Dahlia became a symbol of the terrible secret of Hollywood, a place where dreams of glory coexist with danger and cruelty. Photos of the body, newspaper clippings, detailed descriptions of the crime. All this still attracts the attention of researchers, journalists, and lovers of crime stories. Many years later, documentaries, books, and works of art dedicated to Elizabeth Short appeared. The stories of this murder inspired writers, directors, and even musicians. Hollywood turned her death into a legend, but there is still no real answer to the question, who killed Black Dahlia? Even today, walking along the streets of Los Angeles, you can feel the anxiety of that winter night in 1947. The wind rustles the pages of the newspapers, and the shadows of the buildings remind you of the girl whose life was tragically cut short. She dreamed of fame, and although fate decreed otherwise, her name became immortal. Black Dahlia will remain a symbol of mystery, horror, and unsolved riddle of Hollywood forever. Every year new theories appear, new books, new investigations, but Elizabeth Short's killer remains invisible in the fog of history. And perhaps it is this mystery that makes her story so attractive, frightening, and alluring at the same time. The story of Black Dahlia lives on in our fears, in our admiration, and in the legends of Hollywood.